Hey there, everybody. It's me again. We just finished making this lovely tree map that shows us that greenhouse gas emissions over the last 100 years has varied both by country and at rates of growth. I made this file and I didn't point out something quite useful, which is that I want to save it. Save frequent, save early, save often. I'm going to call this GHG for greenhouse gases emissions by country. All right, saved it. Okay, the next thing I promised you is that we would take a look at some bar charts. Bar charts are useful when you're looking for patterns. In this data set, we had to do quite a few filters to get our entities so that they excluded conglomerate entities like continents and the whole world. And so we are going to have to do that again, but just bear with me. So I've got one workbook or one worksheet open. I'm going to open another one. New worksheet. In this time, I want to use a bar chart, and the question I'm going to try to answer is, how does greenhouse gas emissions vary by country? And we have to think about this specifically because we have a lot of years. Do we mean total greenhouse gas emission ever, right? In which case, we would see that the United States would be the largest and China would be the next. Or do we want to focus on a year in the past, like 1990? And actually, that's a bit of a spoiler. We're going to do both. So I'm going to call this sheet greenhouse gas emissions. Actually, let's just call it carbon dioxide emissions, CO2 emissions by country 2019. So let's start with 2019. And we're going to be looking at our entity and our CO2 emissions. Actually, let's swap those. Great. So we've got emissions by country, and this right now is actually all years. So I need to filter by year, and I want my filter to be from 2019 to 2019. So here is greenhouse gas emissions by country in 2019, which actually is not last year, it's the year before last. All right, now I'm going to sort in descending order. And that's going to place our big emitters, the entire world and the continent of Asia, on top. So let's do one more filter and let's get rid of all those collected groups. If I drag entity into filter, I can do as I did before. World, don't need it. Asia, don't need it. North America, don't need it. South America, nope. Europe, I don't need either version of the EU, the entire Europe, or Europe without either version of the EU. What else did I forget? Africa. Okay, let's see if I missed any. We might see some. Oh, international transport. I missed one. I'll show you how to deal with that without opening the filter. We can right click and just exclude. Oceania is a region. Let's exclude it. All right, so we're good. Here's an interesting and possibly sobering activity. On this chart, swap from standard to entire view. That's going to fit all the countries in this sample within our tiny view. So I think this shows us kind of the stark reality that the United States and China are by far the largest polluters. And then after that, we do see some pollution with India, from India and Russia and some of the larger European countries, and Japan and India, that I already mentioned that. But after that, we get this dramatic decline where, Myanmar, Lebanon, for instance, produces 28 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions. We're below 1,000, right? 28, whereas the United States is 5,285. So let's do a little change. Let's do one more filter. Here under Entity, let's edit this and take a look at the top few values. And we're going to take our top, let's do 25 values by annual CO2 emissions, and sum is fine. There we go, and now we all fit in. So our CO2 emissions, China is our leader with just over 10,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions. Then the United States, India at about half that, and Russia dropping down below. I do want to take a look at this and see how that's changed from 1990. We can do that with a series of column charts, and a line chart is easier, but I want to make one more column chart because it'll be really easy. If I go down and I click on my tab and I duplicate, I get another one that looks exactly the same. And I'm just going to change this number from 2019 to 1990. And then up here under my filter by year, I'm going to enter 1990 to 1990 and say OK. So here in 1990, we can see that the US was out leading the pack with 5,128,000 pounds. Then Russia back down at 2,500. Then China at 2,400. So since 1990, the United States greenhouse gas emissions, at least with regards to carbon dioxide, which is the biggest volume polluter, has increased a little, but not very much. China, on the other hand, is quadrupled, a 400% increase since 1990. So some things kind of stay the same and some things change. A better way to really look at these changes over time is to use a line chart, and come back for the next video and I will show you how to do that. Happy calculating.